He has done that in the marketplace. He has done that. He did it. He's still doing it. And today and right now, he does that in Flutterwave, one of the biggest fintechs in Nigeria right now. And no other person to speak to us about retention than Chiedozie. So Chiedozie is going to be taking us through user retention beyond acquisition, because a lot of times I feel like we talk a lot about acquiring customers, but keeping the customers, especially in fintech, that churn happens a lot. There's literally a new fintech app opening every Eke market day, right? And Chiedozie is going to be talking us through talking us through retaining your customers. So if you work in growth, product, marketing, sales, or any other business function, this masterclass is ideal for you. So join me, guys. We're going to be welcoming our speaker with so much enthusiasm and joy and happiness. So join me as I welcome Chiedozie to the stage. Clap, 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 clap. Thank you very much. All right, so Chiedozie, we are ready to learn, and you have the floor.
Hi. Sorry, just give me a minute. Sorry.
Sorry, I also want to point out that Chiedozie is a member of the Builders in FinTech Inner Circle. So our members are very, very amazing, like intelligent folks. So if you're not there, we'll tell you more about how you can, be a part of the Inner Circle later. So Chiedozie is back. You're muted.
For a minute, I wasn't sure who Isabel was talking about, but fair enough. Yeah. I'm Chiedozie, and at the moment I lead Lifecycle Force at Flutterwave. Today we'll talk about user retention in fintech. I have been working in fintech for about 3 years now. I first joined Women Bank, and then I moved to Flutterwave. And the interesting thing about my journey is that I have done user acquisition as well. So I have seen both sides, right? I have seen what's like the behind the scenes between acquiring users and also behind the scenes about retaining users as well. So, and I really hope that whatever I share with you today is useful to you. Hopefully, don't say that's my time, but hopefully. So let me talk about stuff, right? So I'm sharing my screen now. Sorry, I am an Amazon person. I don't like slides. I like to write down my thoughts. So yeah. So yeah, I think that the first things first, right? Everyone talks about acquisition because it's loud and exciting. Even I think that anything you really enjoy can be loud and exciting. But in fintech, right, acquisition without retention is just an expensive way to fail. It's like pouring water into a bucket, right? Because even if you had the greatest products and you did not do anything to retain them, chances that they will leave. Like if you look at the questions that Israel was asking before, that people who just forget about things and all of that, right? So I'm going to talk about why not having a retention play is quite dangerous, and why your message might be hurting you, and how to stop lying. I don't know, lying to users as well. So and also to get PMF as well.
Sorry, Chiedozie, could you zoom in a bit? Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. So, can you see it now? Is it too big or just too small? So yeah, we'll start with the spectrum of retention, right? So in my experience, I have found that retention is very vertical specific, and you have to understand the frictions that are contextual to your industry. Even within the fintech or the financial services industry, there are so many verticals. There is savings, there is banking as a service, there is B2B, there is business banking, there is remittance, and all of those. But I'll talk about from what the experience I have, right, in banking and remittance. I think one of the things I noticed is that if users don't verify, do like KYC and activate within 7 days, they're likely to be lost to a competitor. And friction is one enemy there. I always say that retention starts from, or life cycle generally starts from onboarding, and even onboarding. And the question I always ask myself or tell people to ask themselves is, if I stopped all verification nudges and first action bonuses today, would your organic activation rates remain respectable? I mean, within your industry, some industries 20% is like, yeah, very good. Some industries is 30, some industries 40%, right? So yeah, like you have to ask yourself that question. If I stopped spending nudges or this thing, just the flow alone, would that get me a good number of activation in a 7-day window, right? Yeah. So I think that's a question. What do you call it? Is it food for thoughts or nugget or whatever? But yeah, you feel me. So now down to intentional messaging, right? So these are like just my service thoughts, and then I'll talk about the things that I find interesting, right? Service touch. Now we have talked about how you like everything comes down to onboarding and how it's designed to be easy for people to actually activate and use. Now they have come into the app, right? You now want to nudge them as well to or speak to them or keep them warm or like and also make them know about your offers, right? New products, new features, and all of those. I found that more messages doesn't necessarily translate to more actions, right? And I've also learned the hard way that you have to be intentional about your nudge. Yeah, there are times when like I'll just blast messages. I'll send the same message. I'll send the same message on email. I'll send the same message on SMS. I'll send the same message on push notification. And then I was just saying that people were just spamming, like just making all my messages are spam, right? And you don't want to do that. You want to make intentional noise, right? You're not doing brand marketing where you just put billboards and play on radio and you hope that something sticks. The good thing about retention is that you see your user, you understand them, you know what they do, you know their age, right? And then people of different ages tend to take message from different places. Like my mom now, I think my mom is 52, and I see that all her push notifications are always on top of her phone. She rarely reads them, right? She rarely opens her email. In fact, I had to help her unsubscribe from emails because she doesn't read those emails, right? And I would like, and I asked her, hey, what's even? She's like, oh yeah, it's radio. When she's driving back from work and she hears an offer, she's like, okay, well, I need to put it on, she uses it, or billboards or text messages, right? So you have to be intentional about how to send messages. And the good thing is that on in the point of onboarding, you collect all these messages from people, right? You know how old they are. I think you know how old they are. You know their gender. You have their first name. You sort of also have like where they live or like what they do if you ask for those things, right? So one of the things I've learned, right? Don't air your users. Why you shouldn't spam? Don't leave users without communication for long periods, right? Some companies have different ways. Some people send messages once per week. Some people send 5 times a week, right? And I've realized that the ratio of what is considered spam and what isn't considered spam is actually how people relate to the products, right? I use Netflix. I watch at least one episode of a series every day, right? And I get an email from Netflix at least 3 or 4 times in a week. I don't see it as spam because most of the time they're nudging me to continue the movie I'm watching, or they're asking me, oh, how was the movie, or they're telling me about a movie they're leaving. And funny, I like those, oh, this movie is leaving and I watch them, right? Or this is coming. Yeah, mark them, save them for when they come. Sorry, is that noise for me? All right, cool. Yeah. Right. So when people are not that engaged with your app, even one SMS or one email per week could feel like too much noise from you, right? And that's why you have to make sure that you speak to people where they are, right? So just from my observation, I've learned that there's usually like a typical 5 to 8% conversion rate from in-app or push notifications, right? And I think that this is also something that you would use to do. For instance, you use your email to drive them to the app, and then when they get to the app, they see the offer, right? And or use the SMS to drive it to the app, right? So when you combine all of this, I usually see like a 40% conversion rate as against when I don't combine stuff, right? But I have to give a context. There's also a cost versus conversion guardrail. Why SMS is very good for conversions, but it's also very expensive, right? Let's say you use a Nigerian SMS provider and send SMS message to people. One SMS is 5 naira, and then if you want to track links, that's an extra naira. So let's say you already have a CRM that are paying, say, $50,000 a year for the CRM, and then you have now to pay like an extra 5 million every month. Oh, no, not every month, like an extra maybe 1 million or so every month for SMSs. So, and that's why I say that you have to be very intentional about these things, because this cost tend to ramp up, right? But it also makes sense because SMS, people who use SMS, like people who, like users who are in that SMS bracket tend to be like the best users for monetary value. So if they're costing you, say, 10 naira per or 20 naira per month, right? And they're bringing you an average transaction volume of, say, 20K monthly. Yeah, right? So you divide 20K from 24 naira or so, you do the maths, right? Yeah, then synchronizing and staggering. So the way I do it is that if I send SMS and you don't open, I send a push, I send you a push in app, you don't open it, I send an SMS, right? This way you don't spam people. I really hate, I'm sorry, and I hope I'm not trying to pose the way I think about this on others, right? But I don't like when I see a push notification and I SMS that saying the same thing. Like, bro, trust me, I read my emails, right? So I'm going to open that email. If I think that the header is interesting, I'll open it, right? I just don't like, yeah, it feels so loud and so, yeah, like I'm blasting my ears. It feels like when I'm in Yaba and then somebody trying to sell me after it, yeah, the same. Now this is now where like the maths of cohort analysis comes into, right? We'll talk about how product is central to, rather how onboarding is central to retention, right? Right. First of all, first things first, you want to activate users. When you acquire them, you want to activate them. I want to make sure that your onboarding is frictionless, right? I think last week, I don't mention it in my product because I respect people who build products, right? For one, the KYC was quite easy. I put in my BVN, I put in my NIN. My NIN has all my details. It has my address. It has my everything. So to be very honest, you can actually get all of the details you want from me. Product two was asking for organizational verification, and I tried to do it, and it just wouldn't work. And I was like, if you ask for BVN and I give you, and ask for NIN and I give you, why is he asking for residential this thing? And I understand why they do it. I understand because I have worked in the bank before, right? But I feel like you can get those informations from my BVN and my NIN, right? And I got pissed because I actually really wanted to use the product, and then I'm like, no, them this product, and I threw my phone away, right? And they should do the same thing. Of course, if this guy send me an email every month, every week to verify, I say they give me 10K extra, I won't care because the KYC process is already too difficult for me, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then we have discussed messaging, and now we are going to discuss the maths behind cohort analysis and actually knowing if your retention strategy is working or not, right? And the reason I like cohort math is that it opens your eye to not just even whether you're keeping users, but it also opens your eye to also understand where those users, for instance, if I run ads in for my US users, right, and I run the ads in 5 states, right, and then in a year I track those people, and then in a year I see that, oh, you know what, these guys I got from Chicago, I don't know, Texas or whatever, right, did better, and then about 40% of them stayed by, and then the guys that I ran from these other states, in the next 12 months, like maybe 20 or 30 or 10% stayed back. What's that telling you? In the next year, you know what? Oh, these 3 states are very good. Then let us ramp up our spend on these 3 states, and then reduce our spend on the other side. And that's why I say that working in a position where one of the metrics is retention is probably one of the most important positions in the company, because you are very central to everything. It's like in football, you are a midfielder, right? You are the glue between the attack and the defense. You protect the defense, and then you also supply to attack. And that is what you are when you work in the role of retention, whether as a program manager, or as a lifecycle marketer, or as an email marketer, or even if your job in the company is just simple notifications, right? Know that role is very, very important to the company. See yourself as very important, and that is why you have to start digging deep to understand like the impact of your work, right? So now you have to define your and then like how do you calculate the cohort retention, right? Define your cohorts, say define your user start dates, right? And then you can write all the definitions of that make up for that start date. Like, oh, the people that came in between January 1 and March 31st all came from Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Kebbi, wherever, right? They are all between this. They are between ages this and that. Everyone in these cohorts, these are the ages, right? And all those things, right? And then calculate cohorts, right? You can either do month 1 versus month 3 or month 1 versus month 12, depending on what you want to do. And then like do the formula. The formula is simple, right? So active users in a period divided by total users in original cohorts times 100. So let's say you got like 100 users in January, or 100 users between January and March. I like, I want to see where these guys who came in these first 3 months are by March the next year, right? You can say, oh, okay, I got 100 users now, but only 30 are still active, right? 30 divided by 100 times 100, basic maths, right? And then there's usually like the 50% rule for outages. That's the people that's churned, right? Yeah. Okay, outages. Maybe when something happens with your products, and this is something I learned in a very harsh way, like, right? Some of our features were turned off for months, and when I wanted to get back, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you're our best user, and you did $1 million in addition. So why not? Hey, we're back. I'm sorry, they read your message, but they'll not do shit because they have gone to a competitor, right? So one thing I always say is that when you're going back to people that stop using the product because of your faults, maybe you had a regulatory problem. It happens a lot in Fintech. Know that will always happen. You see, you can have a license for 5 years, and then one government to come and say, nah, change everything, and then boom, you now have to start getting a new license, and that might take you months to get, right? And then when you get it, don't just assume that you just go back to people that are using you, except there are no competitors. Fair enough, right? But the competitors, trust me, they have gone. And it's not their fault. It's not your fault as well, too. But what I have learned is that always treat it as though you are trying to acquire new users. Have a budget for them. Don't just rely on your organic channels. Email, SMS, push notifications. In fact, the truth is that even Android and iPhone has a policy that if I have not opened an app in 30 days, I think 30 or 3 months or so, that they should turn off all the notifications from that app. So yeah, imagine you turn off a feature for like 6 months, and then let's say you lost 10K users because of that, and then when you get the feature back, I say, hey, we're back. Man, you have to be very aggressive about it. Call them, run ads with their. I mean, you have to make sure that you are within the legal parameter, because in some countries, sorry, you are not allowed to use people's data to run ads, right? Like UK, EU, and so you have to be very careful, right? Run ad targeting them. Say we're back. Yeah, beg them, call them, text them, whatever, right? But know that a lot of these things, highest you get like 15%, 15-20%, right? And then the others just keep talking to them. Over time, they come back. Then sometimes after a while, you just say, you know what, it's fine. It's not a fault. Maybe just do better in ways to make sure that you are not blindsided anymore from the future where, yeah, and all of those, right? Now, we have talked about cohort, right? So when it comes to retention, what are we looking at? What metrics are we looking at? Yeah, instead of looking at total downloads, I think that it's important to focus on the health of your user base using a couple of things. For me, I like to use the RFM framework. R is recency. How recently did the user perform a call action? Frequency is how often do they transact in a set window, e.g., 30, 60, or 90 days, or in 6 months, right? Monetary, what is the total value? So if I'm going to do this, say, have a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If I am really high in recent, like, oh yeah, my recent, I was registered as this morning. Frequently, from beginning of the month till now, I have done 10 transactions, right? And all the transactions are very big money. I'm not doing 5K, 10K naira. I'm doing 100K, 200K, 300K, right? Then you want this user to be in the high, like 5/5, right? You want to keep them. You want to keep them really, right? That's why you find that. Now let's put this over to B2B, right? Because I feel like I've talked about just B2C. In B2B, right? How do account managers or companies hold their users, right? You find that in B2B, account managers tend to be very like the. Have you seen that meme where that guy was holding the bogus like that, and someone like you, like nobody's come steal it from you? That kind of thing. That's where they hold their best users, right? They will send them Happy New Month text. I'm like, I mean, yes, but they shouldn't. But it's just to know that yes, we are here. If anything happens, talk to us, right? We send them happy whatever, happy this thing, birthday. They send maybe the circle. They send the circle birthday cake, or they send the CEO birthday cake. If the company is doing anniversary, they say, hey, yeah, this thing, we're supporting this thing, because you know that you have to hold them tight, because keeping it is in a way it is quite easier or cheaper to keep users than getting them, right? Imagine you spent 1 year getting a big client in B2B, and then you are not talking to them at the end of the year. You don't send them a end of the year message or send them gifts or something. You don't, I don't know, you you are not you are not helping them. They're going to leave, and then the 1 year that your salesperson used to close that deal is wasted. Now think about it in B2C as well. So if you're not like trying to hold your users, like by giving them new features, giving them what they want, talking to them, knowing like how your product is, making sure that your customer support is okay, right? It's not that if I send an email, you reply me in 2 weeks, right? If I send an email, I get that sometimes like the volume between users and CX team can be quite small. So maybe let's be honest. Let's say maybe a day, right? If I within like 2-3 hours, right? And okay, this person is responsive. Imagine spending all that money to get users, and then you are not. There's no framework to keep them. What's the point? There isn't any point to that, right? Yeah, and then then use logic, and you can just do the whole math of the RFM stuff, right? But basically, you want to make sure that your users are quite healthy. They are as recent, and also want to make sure that they're consistent. For instance, if somebody sends, let's say you are a sales platform, right? And then some people save 5 times a month, some people save every day, some people save 2 times a month. For me, it doesn't make sense that I have an erratic user, right? Now, in January I save 5 times a month. In February I don't save at all. In March, I save 20 times a month. In April, right? April and May, I don't save anything at all, right? You want to understand people's pattern and like message them in that way, right? Or rather, you want people who, even if that's saving 2 times a month or saving once a month, you want consistency, and you have to find a way to make them to be consistent, right? Either like talking to them or like looking at a pattern, or even build product for them, right? Or sorry, I mean features for them. And then when you look outside of the RFM framework, also things that you need to look out for, right? You need to look at the cost of acquisition versus LTV ratio versus cost of acquisition ratio, right? So this measures the efficiency of growth. And I get that different companies are in different places in their growth life cycle. There are companies where at this point that are in their growth, they're looking for users. They don't like it's just to like this that this product works and that people will pay for it. So I understand if it is like maybe the reverse for a new company that's just trying to like validate their products. Okay, we have raised 10 million and they want to like, oh, this product actually makes sense, right? So for those kind of companies, it might be different. But if you have got to a point where you're not getting users, but like they're not paying, right? This is what you should optimize for, or maybe for the next 12 to 24 months, right? So you want to make sure that you get to a point where your LTV, that's your lifetime value, is 3 times how much you're spending per user, right? On average. So you want to make sure that, let's say your lifetime value is 300,000 naira, right? You want to make sure that you're in a point where for every user, you're getting averagely 300K from a user, and then you're spending, say, maybe 100K to get them. I'm just saying, I mean, I know that the numbers are actually quite lower than that in most fintech companies, right? Actually B2C, but in B2B, it might be way bigger. It runs 2 million as well. So, and then you want to make sure that like churn rate is maybe flat. The truth is that people will always churn. I think in the past 1 year, I've churned from different products for different reasons. Right. For instance, I used to really like Glovo a lot, but I haven't used them a lot because not because they're bad products. Sorry. Yeah. Right. It's because I'm in a place where I think I want to eat more homemade food now, right? And I want to save more money, right? So even if they send me, we miss you 100 times a month, I'm probably not going to listen to them, right, or use them, right? And it's not a fault. So people churn for different reasons, right? But yeah, and now this is where the cohort thing I mentioned, you want to like make sure that your cohorts between 2025 and 26 is maybe flat or high. Like if your cohorts from 2024 to 25 was say 20%, right? That is 40%. That means you lost about 60 users, right? You want to make sure that for the next year that it's the same, or at least you get more people than you did in the last cohorts, right? So you always have to measure these things. And then payback period, right? So this is the time to recover the cost of acquisition. So let's say your cost of acquisition is $100, right? You want to make sure that you make $100 revenue in less than a month from your users, right? So let's say, and then this is also one of the things that you also measure widen the cohort analysis as well too, right? And for best practice, it will always be best to aim for less than 12 months. So averagely, CAC is $100, and I want to make sure that for every cohort, I'm getting back my $100 per average from users, right? And then stickiness, and then you want to measure stickiness, and then it comes back to this as well. So recency and frequency measure stickiness as well too. So you want to make sure that your daily active users or monthly users is growing daily. I think that the most healthy and the most realistic growth I've seen is 20 to 25% month on month, right? So you want to make sure that your stuff is going between 20 to 50, depending on where you are. For new products, chances that you do more self because you are in that stage where everyone is just getting to know you. But as you grow, become more mature, it starts to become lower, like 15 to 20%, right? Or 25%. But like if you're like where Money Points was like in 2023 or 2022, I'm sure they're probably doing like 50 or 70% in some months. But I'm sure that they're in a place now where they're probably doing between around the 20% or stuff, right? And now back to my first message, which is that product is the core. You can do all your life cycle, you can do all your marketing, you can do all the campaigns, you can give all the discounts. When the product does not work, I'm sorry, people will not stay, right? So you want to give people what they want in the place they want it, how they want it, and at the price that they can afford. If anything here is missing, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Yeah, exactly. So everything has to work, and I know that some people here are not marketers, but when I was studying marketing in university, we had different P's in marketing, which was place, price, promotion, products, right? And it's funny because sometimes I think that marketers don't like being immersed in product because even theoretically, you're supposed to care about the products. You're supposed to care about the products, right? As a PM, you need to care about everything, and that's why I think that my best friends in companies that I've worked with are pro managers and engineers. I like them a lot because I'm like, yeah, this thing does not work, and I feel like they also like me too because they like marketers who care about the product as well too. So yeah, I really hope that everything I said here makes sense. Now, down to questions. I feel like I've just been talking for a very long period. Keep saying, please.
Okay. I feel like I am in a school of marketing and like there's just so much. As a non-marketer, I've picked one or two things.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For the M,
Yeah.
M is monetary.
Yeah, I
So
later got it when you scrolled up and down.
yeah. Apologies if that wasn't clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Thanks a lot, Chiedozie. My head is full. And I'm sure that like a lot of other people here have also learned. We are going to be taking questions. I know that for some of the things that Chiedozie has said, you might need more clarity, right? Especially if you're like me, that's it's the up and coming in marketing. And by the way, Chiedozie, thank you for the shout out to product people. As a product manager, I feel glad. I feel very happy to hear that. So if you have any questions for Chiedozie, you can either raise up your hand, and if you are so shy, you can also drop your questions in the chat. And for those of us that have been asking about Chiedozie's quote unquote slides, yes, we'll share that in the thank you email we'll send out after this masterclass. So keep your eyes on that so everyone that joined this can access it. So yeah, if you have any question, okay, yes, everyone dropped it. So you guys are very fortunate. So we'd also send it to anyone that probably joined this and like dropped off along the line. So if you have any questions, you can raise up your hand. But there's a question that was asked earlier on, so I want to take that first. Okay, I think that's Chibuzo. Chibuzo is asking about the tools. So because this question came up first, I'm going to call him first, then I'll call Favor next. But if you have any question, please feel free to raise up your hand. We're going to take as much questions as we can. Like I said, this is an interactive learning session. So Chiedozie is here to answer all your questions. So yeah, Chibuzo, you can go.
Okay, hello Chiedozie, how are you doing? I enjoyed the session. I reckon that it's going to be sort of Herculean to manage these things.
Sorry, is what?
As I reckon it feels Herculean to manage all of these things you've mentioned, right? The cohorts, the LTVs, and all of that. So I'm kind of interested in understanding the story. I'm interested in knowing the tools that you use to manage all of this.
Yeah, actually, to confess, it is, to be honest. And I think that if one's doing it excellently, I think that it's Herculean. Because I mean, I could just not care about it. And I feel like everything is just down to caring about what you do. For the tools, for the calculating, it's normal bullshit. Sorry, right? It's nothing like very complex. Google Sheets, and then your calculator as well. So, and then spooling the data. I think that you can work with your data in your company. Thankfully, I have been able to give feedback enough and iterate Power BI dashboard. So I just get everything on that Power BI, TPV within from this month to this month, filter for what I want, and then I do the maths. The maths slide is in the document that I just shared. But for messages, right? At the moment, I use customer.io, and then there I have everything. But for SMSs, I'm using Temi, the Nigerian brand. The good thing is that you can use them, and then you can also integrate with via webhook to customer.io, so you can see everything on customer.io. The real thing with SMS platform is that you can only see delivered and link clicks. You cannot see open, and it's because of like the technology behind your SMS thing. So yeah, they can't track opens yet. What again? Okay, for also identify drop-offs as well too. There are tools that you could use. At my job, we use Mixpanel, right? Yeah. So what are tools again? Just looking through to see what other tools we use here. Nothing. The other tools I use mostly Google Sheets, customer.io for send messages, push in-app, Temi for sending SMSs, Mixpanel for identifying drop-offs. Yeah, that's it. But there's another tool that you want to know how to use. I have a variety of tools that you could learn. So when I used to work at Eden, and I used to work really closely with the program manager there, I used to use UX Cam to look at watch sessions, and it was funny because you would design a page to do something, and then when you watch people, you're like, oh, what are you doing? It's not what you want to do. And then I learned a lot just watching. But one day I was just what like 100 people just using the product, and I'm like, oh wow, this is what this person is doing the product. This is what we built this thing for, right? I think there's also what's the other one that helps to identify heat map or something like. So it helps. I think it helps designers understand like what they design. Sometimes you put like a button here, and then you want people to tap, and then people are just tapping on top. Like, okay, you know what? If I move the button from here to top, maybe it might help city or something. But sometimes these things are more discretionary because the whole heat map thing might just be people just scrolling through the page, and it might not necessarily mean anything. But yeah, I hope I was able to answer a question and not your super. Chiedozie, right?
Yeah, you did. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
welcome.
thank you so much. Thanks, Chiedozie, for that question. Thank you, Chiedozie. Favor has a question. If you have a question, please feel free. This is a safe space. Like a very, very interesting person said. So yeah, feel free. Favor, you can go up next.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I joined a bit late, so apologies ahead if I add something you might have already talked about.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of an early stage startup, right? Like you mentioned, growth is very critical because what you don't measure, you can't improve, right? So, as a founder, most of the times you are most likely wearing multiple hats and trying to stick into engineering, marketing, sales, and to just make it work, right? So, how effectively can we manage growth, not user retention in this case, more like when you're acquiring users, like that very early stage of a startup, what are the key things to be put in place? What are the key things, to measure, to ensure that, okay, at the early stage of the startup, we are actually acquiring users, we're actually growing, and all of that. And then maybe I could ask my second question after you answer that.
Okay. I think I'll say that in the early stage, what you should care about is PMF. And what is PMF, right? PMF is that you want to make sure that what you're selling is very important to people. And I think then when I was in the early stage startup, how we measure PMF was there are a couple of things we used to measure. NPS, like Net Promoter Score. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Irela, for that. PMF is product market fit. Basically, that's it, right? There are a couple of things that we used to use to measure PMF, which was month-on-month growth. Do you want to set it at your own stage? 10%, 15% month-on-month growth in revenue, users. Like again, to retention again, to is also a PMF thing. And then you also want to ask them how likely are they to refer your product as well. And then I think another one you also want to know is if your product stop existing today, are there competitors that they will go to, right? I mean, that might hurt a bit, but I think it's important to learn about those things, right? And I think that people will also lie, right? But I think some will tell you the truth. So and sometimes you also have to know that your competitors might not be direct. For instance, at Eden, right? Our competitors were not direct. They were our competitors were cleaning, like people used to go and clean directly for people. Our competitors were like those guys, those washer people, men and women that come and wash your clothes for free. Not for free, but like very cheap, right? But they will spoil your clothes, right? So you have to understand who your direct and indirect competitors are, right? Basically, stickiness, how they're coming back, also the growth month on month, right? You want to say, okay, are my users and my revenue growing 20% month on month? Are these people also coming back? What is our retention rates? How likely are they to refer us to their friends? And then don't just stick to just asking them. Test out the theory. For instance, how we tested out at Eden was, we'll say, hey, we are going to give a 5% discount. Invite 10 of your friends, right? And some of them did. And that was how we knew at that time in 2021 that, okay, you know what, these people actually needed products and they had friends who could come, right? And then the last one is also, you want to ask them, if this product stop existing today, how is my life going to be, right? So for me, that is what, for me, that's like a measure PMF, basically, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. So, like, when you're doing all of these things and they don't seem to work, for example, like you're trying to measure PMF, what are the mitigation steps? Like, okay, if you do A and it's not working, what are the mitigation steps? In order to find what works.
Okay, so sometimes you have to tell yourself the truth, right? If you're I think I find that if you're doing a lot of optimizing, right, and people are seeing your products, like I see that people are actually opening your website, they are downloading the app, they're even going through steps. But when it's maybe time, and you see that they always stop at the place where it is time for payments, they stop. So what happened to you? You could tell that maybe your product is good, but it's expensive, right? And another way I have found for new users, especially for small companies, especially with the fact that you are very agile, is to call people, right? If you say that, oh, this person is stopping here, just call them. Call them and say, hey, you, maybe just pick like 100 and say, no, today I'm going to face 100. And call them and say, hey, I'm saying that you're moving through the flow and you're stopping here. Is there a reason why I'm stopping here? I can bet that if you call 100 people, you're going to get the feedback you want, right? Another one is also the fact that you also have to try out testing different iterations of the products. So it's possible that people are saying, yeah, you don't have a marketing problem. You might just have a relevance problem. Maybe the people are selling your products, you just don't care about what you're saying. Or maybe the truth is that you have done your research and have found that people actually need this and they can afford it. It might not be it might be your messaging, right? It might be that you're just not selling to them in the way they want, right? For instance, Nigerians, I'm sorry. Nigerians are very bad with money. Like, I'm very bad at maths. So if you say I'll save you 15 hours in a week, because we don't measure most of our life with hours. Like for the US now, they know that, you know what, 40 hours a week is, I'm going to get $500 if I work 40 hours a week, right? For Nigerians, you cannot, they don't have this because it's not intentional. It's just that we haven't grown up to be in a space where like you can measure time. So if you're saying, oh, you want to measure time for them, they don't understand it, right? So you might want to speak a language that they understand, which is okay. Oh, this will save you this amount, right? This will save you this amount, right? And then things that they care about, which is okay. Oh, it might save you enough time to go to church. Nigerians who are very religious. It might save you enough time to go for Mogo or something, like things that are related to them, basically. Yeah. So just test it out, and if you got the automation and it doesn't work, I don't know, man. I don't think I have anything for you to, yeah. I'm not going to talk to you. You just have to just change your value proposition and everything. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
That was such a deep everyone. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. I think that's like the reason why we have like this sort of spaces, because sometimes you want to also like introspect, and these are not things that's like regular people will tell you. So yeah, I really like that we can be open and honest with each other. So yeah, I'm going to go back to my queue. I know Gabriel's hand was raised before Kalista, but he has happened to drop it. So I'll just call Gabriel.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. So you mentioned something about, thank you for the presentation. It was really nice, right? You mentioned something about metrics, CAC, customer acquisition cost. So I wanted to know what that entails. Is it just marketing and sales alone, or you need to like deep down into like the nitty-gritty of what you're spending money on? So like say, so the way I think about it is, do I need to think about the technology that's being used? So doing KYC, do I need to like get how much I spend, say verifying the customer's NIN, do I need to go deep like that, right? Or can I just say, what does it mean to onboard a customer for me? Is it that a customer becomes a customer when they get activated, and they get activated? If I'm building a loan, a credit product, right, and say the customer takes a loan, do I calculate how much I spend up to the point the customer takes that loan and say, oh, that's the cost, that's what I should be focused on? Or do I need to factor in other things like, oh, transactional emails that comes after the customer takes the loan, throughout the entire life cycle of the customer, right? So I think that's like my question. What are the things I need to actually calculate when I'm trying to get a metric?
Sorry.
Chiedozie, did you get the question?
Yeah, I think I got trapped by Nana's question. Please, can you repeat the last part of the question?
So yeah, I was saying, what are the things I need to actually calculate when I'm trying to get that metric? Do I need to say, how much do I spend on this customer till they get onboarded, till they get activated on the platform, or I need to also factor in things after activation has been done? So in the example, like, activation could mean customer gets a loan, right? They get onboarded, do all of that KYC, and then they get a loan. That's activation, right? Do I need to calculate up to that point, how much I spend up to that point? Or I need to also factor in other things that comes after they get the loan. So like maybe other transactional emails, marketing emails, things that come like that, right? So yeah, that's basically
interesting. And I like this question because I like that you're thinking about it not just from a marketing point of view, but also from more of a product point of view. So I think that there are different ways that this could be answered, right? So you could do it from a marketing POV, which is just basically how much am I spending for this user. For instance, if I if my CAC on my Meta ad dashboard is saying that, oh, that I'm spending 100 euros to get one active users in sorry, let's say active user in Europe, right? The CAC will be the number of people that's, yeah, basically, right? But then I think that for like how you're mentioning it might make sense for a company that's like company to say this is our CAC generally, right? And like I mentioned about how good marketers should be more expansive their thinking, which is like more product centric and all. It might make sense also add that as well too. But I've found that like the way finance tends to write off those things, like the vendor use money I pay for vendor for your KYC verification, money you're spending on email marketing tools, money you're spending on telemarketing, like SMS marketing tools, tends to be written off as OPEX, like yeah. So I found that companies tend to write those at least those things under OPEX more than in marketing, because why they are marketing costs, or like they are tools, like they are tools basically. They're not a marketing cost for acquisition basically. So they're more of a tool, right? So that might increase the OPEX of your department. Yeah, but I found that the best way to calculate CAC is to calculate it straight from like how much I'm spending in marketing. Basically, it makes it less complicated than when you add how much I spend in CRM, how much I spending per SMS for OTP, how much I'm spending on with vendors and all these things, right? So I think it might make sense to add the other cost as OPEX, right? Okay, and what I found is that marketing most likely will not take the cost for the vendor. They will pass it on to product team or engineering, right? And then engineering and product will not take the cost for CRM. Marketing will have to absorb that. So I think it's best to just put them under OPEX. And then yeah, for everyone, OPEX is basically operational costs. Yeah.
Okay, Gabriel, are you good?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gabriel. Thanks for your response as well. So I have two more questions that we'll take before we call it a day. I'm sad, really, really sad that this is coming to an end, but every good thing must end. So we have Calista and Victor. So we'll go with Calista first, and Victor will be our last question asker. So yeah, Calista, over to you. Hi, Calista, are you there? You're muted. Kendra, please, can you help us mute Auntie Millie?
Hi,
Thank
good
you.
morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah. So, sorry, my question, I had the conversations around market fits and so. So my question is a very practical question. Things I've seen over and over. When we talk about product market fit, you know, after all this research, there's okay, it is validated, people want this idea, we go ahead to build. And you also said something about users being able to afford that product. The product itself is core, and users being able to afford that product. I'm asking because I've seen situations where a product idea will be validated, it's built, people look at the product and then look away as if it's not actually something that they asked for or something that is actually solving any problem. Situations where, because I'm of the opinion practically that aside all the framework we define and the things, sometimes when you hit the market, you have to see certain reality that will shape the direction of your marketing, right? These things happen over and over. And most times when you try to talk to stakeholders about the pricing, either it's too high or there's always this back and forth, like, no, you can't tell me how much to fix my products. Like it's always back and forth. Like, I know how much I spent building this product. I know how much I'm supposed to make back. how do you balance things like this? Because actually that product is supposed to solve a problem that exists. But either because of the pricing that stakeholders have insisted that if you don't put that pricing in that product, you should get out of the way. Or the way the position, the way it's being positioned in the market, they are not quick to make changes. Okay, this is how people are perceiving these products. Can we do a gentle pivot or find a way to gain market traction first? How do you handle situations around things like that? Because if retention is when you already have users, I'm coming from the angle of where users are not even coming in. And you know that product, you built it so well, it's frictionless, people can easily onboard, the designs, everything makes it. I heard you say something about BVN and the onboarding, the smooth experience. Yeah, I've seen products like that, but they don't even have up to 1,000 users, right? And they're struggling to even get people to onboard on the platform. So what are the things you can apply to get out of such situation?
Hi, Kalista. Thanks for the question. I think that there's a point to get in your career, and you have to be always very honest with yourself, right? First of all, I'm just going to talk about the stakeholder one, right? If you are in a company where the stakeholders don't understand the reality of the market, I'm sorry, man, nothing for you. And I don't think there's anything you want to like tell the person or something like that. But I think that one thing I've seen big FMCGs do that I think that fintech, or like I won't say fintech, more like digital products can do is break down products that, like, for instance, you want to sell something for 10K, right? Is there a way you can break that into 1K for 10 people? And what that means that you have to fight to get more users, but you still get 10K, right? So yeah, and then down to where people will ask for things and then you build it for them, and then they will not pay for those things. So this everyone who has worked in product or marketing has probably experienced this. And then the truth of the matter is that sometimes it is very contextual, and sometimes also like the reality of things. So if I come into your product today, I say, and maybe you email me or something, I say, hey, what have I tell you? Hey, I came in because I wanted ABC, but what you have is BD, but you just have D and E and F, right? The thing is that when I came into your products, I wanted ABC, and that was yesterday, right? I needed it urgently, right? And then you spend the next 6 months to a year to build, or maybe spend the next 3 months to 6 months or 1 year to build ABC, and then you text me and say, hey, want the ABC? I'm like, okay, thank you, but I only want the ABC on the 12th of March 2025. You built it, you finished building it in maybe August 2025. I don't need that at that point anymore, right? And this happens more than you know, right? So just that you are building things behind people's needs. And that might be good feedback for you, maybe to build, okay, oh yeah, users need this thing, right? And then build it for the mass markets. That's fair enough. But if you're saying, oh, you go back to people that say, oh, I needed this thing in March, and you're getting back to them in August, they've moved on, right? And then the second part is also the fact that sometimes we need to catch people where they are. Like I mentioned, like products where they are and all of these things. So there are products that I have now become a loyal user because they came through for me when I needed them the most. Yeah, right. For instance, I think there was time I was having some issues with my main bank, and then I tried many banks, and then OP was easiest to KYC and everything, and then I used OP, and then yeah, now I think I can say I'm not a loyal user of OP, right? So yeah, this has happened, and that's why you have to just make sure that your product just works, right? Sometimes even the feature that you think that, oh, this thing will not work, it just needs, like, some people just find that that use case, and then yeah, it just takes on like Wi-Fi. So like I mentioned, it can be quite contextual. Probably people that you build that thing for have moved on, right? And that's why you need to, even when people are asking for things for something, you need to ask them. You need to make sure that the bucket is wide enough, so that, you know, even if you don't get these people, there are tens and thousands of people outside of these buckets that need this thing, and I can sell to. Two, if you are trying to sell to a stakeholder and they're not being reasonable, I don't know what I can do for you in that side. And then I also mentioned about how to break down things like FMCG guys do very well in Nigeria. So if you cannot buy the 500 gram milk, they'll do 250 gram milk. If you can't buy 250 gram milk, there's 100 gram milk. If you can't buy that, there's something for you. So how can we that are building tech products break down these things for Nigerian users, right? So, or even for water markets that you are in, because I know that it's not everyone here is in Nigeria, but at least I know that Nana here is not in Nigeria, right? So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Chiedozie. Guys, we're going to have to like move a bit faster because I just realized that there are about 2 questions in the chat that we didn't take, and I promised people that dropped messages in the chat that we're going to take them. So please, Chiedozie, please, I know like there's a lot to say, but you can also like just help us like recap these remaining questions, summarize, brief, say your name and what God has done for you, like that kind of format. So we can just quickly squeeze them in and round this session up in 5 minutes latest because we're pressed for time. So Akiola asks, how do you advise someone to start lifecycle marketing? What's the best route? Yeah, Chiedozie.
I don't know either the best route, but I think it's just to start applying for lifecycle marketing rules, basically. Learn what lifecycle is. Yeah, ask questions, and then apply for lifecycle marketing rules. Basically, that's all I can say. But then I think that's maybe the skills that you need in lifecycle, which is one, you have to understand, you have to have a full grasp of what growth is. You have to also have a full grasp of marketing. So depending on where you are in your career, you could start as an associate or as an intern or whatever, right? Maybe work under somebody who is very knowledgeable, learn under them, and then grow, right? 2, you can also look for lifecycle opportunities within the company you are working for. And I say, hey, I know that nobody owns email, nobody owns engaging customers. Let me start there. And then maybe you start sending emails and then realize that, oh, numbers are growing up and say, hey, yeah, I did this and this and that. And then from there, you can start doing more complex things within these things. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bukola says, how do we manage and measure user retention for a product that is inherently single use or one time? So users are just meant to use it one time and that's it. I think an example of such products would be a PDF, maybe like PDF signage, right? Where like it's not something you really like get to use like every time. You just use it one off, and maybe the next time you come back to it is when you really need it. Like it can be a year, it can be a month, it can be So single-use products. How do we measure like user retention? Yeah, Chiedozie.
I think that for products like that, in my opinion, I think it might work best for them to be very B2B heavy, right? Like sell to companies, and then how you can measure usage is how many people in the company actually using it, and like how, like what is their overall rating of the products. For the B2C angle, where like it's not every day. Yeah, truth is that it's not every day. Not every day I use DocuSign. I might use DocuSign maybe like 3 or 4 times in a year, right? Maybe you might want to fit your context into your usage. Maybe your best users use your products like 3 or 4 times a year. So you might say, you know what, this is your North Star. 3 to 4 times a year, the North Star. So you want to make sure that anybody who uses the products in January uses it 3 to 4 times. And then another thing I also realized is I've also learned is that for products like that, you need to learn to be in their face, right? Not annoyingly, but maybe just send them things about, oh, this is what you can do with PDF. I love PDF.com or whatever. This is what you can do. And then so that anytime they want to use the thing, they remember you. Because honestly, if I want to use that, I just go to Google and say I'll look at PDF. I'll see like thousands of people there. So you want to engage people to learn. That's just in their face. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Engaging people, selling to businesses, and just knowing what your North Star is and optimizing for that. Thanks, Chiedozie. The last question we're going to take today. Oh, there's a question for you, Chiedozie. I think you already responded to that from Mr. Lade. Nah, yeah. Oh, you've sorted it out already. So the last question we're going to take, which I'm excited that we've taken everyone's question, is the question from Victor. So Victor, just say your name and say what Lord has done for you, and we'll wrap this up in a minute. So Victor, go on.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. Hi, Chiedozie. Well, my name is Victor. I was going to ask, I know you probably touched on this earlier, but for basic customer life cycle and frameworks and practices, are they the same for B2C product and B2B products? And if they are, could you probably briefly touch on what exactly the practice and frameworks are for each of them? Yes, and the second question, let me just drop this here. And the second question is for this particular frameworks too, is it also the same for say a state for whichever stage the product is on the life cycle?
Yeah. So I'll answer the second question first so that I don't forget it. It's not the same. It's not the same for where the product is. Like I mentioned, I mentioned it in the stuff that so companies. So typically, how companies grow is that at first they acquire users, and then after a while they're like, no, what this acquisition is now becoming slow. Like we're doing 1% year-on-year growth, right? And 1% year-on-year growth is not bad though. 1% of 10 million users is not the same as 10% of 100K users, right? So yeah, you have to, and then the point is not about keeping your users, and then that might be where you might want to, where retention might not be more important. You realize that many products were in their acquisition stage between 2017 and 2023. From like last year, products are becoming more retention focused, right? You really see Google ads now that like that just give you a discount for you to use more product, more of the like the products, right? So now instead of running, maybe spending 1,000, say spending $180,000 in 6 months running ads, it's not like, yeah, why not just use about half of that to give discounts to our users, right? Give them discounts and then make them use this thing. This way we have cut our acquisition cost by half, and then we have more money to give users, right? We have money to discount for things as well. So early companies tend to focus more on acquisition. More mature companies tend to focus more on retention. Just know where you are. And then for the second question, for the first question, I'll say in a way it can be the same for B2B and B2C, but for B2B, let me tell you, there are different stages of B2B, right? There are like small companies, SMEs, right? My hot take is that I don't see the reason why you cannot use the same B2C playbook for SMEs. Like, those guys are doing me like small money. So why are you wasting like why are you exerting more energy on them when so like for a small food store that sells does like 1 million naira a month, you can use the same playbook for the B2B, right? Make sure that they're on board within 3 days. I don't see how busy they are or like how big they are that you have to spend 1 year onboarding them. If you speak to them more like 2 weeks and onboarding, please move on to the next person. There's no need spending more time on them, right? But then there's also like the SMBs, like they're not very small, but they're also not enterprise level. For those guys, acquisition might take longer, right? You might need to spend maybe a month or two to woo them into using your products, right? And then maybe your life cycle might be more longer. For the SMEs, you might say, you know what, your goal is that you want to make sure that they have come in and they still do whatever I wanted to do in, say, 1 or 2 weeks or in a month. For SMBs, it might be 3 months, it might be 90 days, right? For enterprise, it might be 6 months, it might be 1 year, right? So you need to fix your, even among B2B, there's also like levels, right? There's the SME, SMBs, then there's like enterprise. So yeah. So for SMEs, your playbook should be like normal B2C playbook. Be as B2C as possible. But then for like the guys in the middle, it now starts being okay. Yeah, these guys might take 3 months on board. So yeah, of course your life cycle might be longer for them. And then for enterprise, You might not be doing this in life cycle. So you might, yeah, the life cycle for enterprise is mostly account managers, for being honest, right? And then when you come in, most of the time as a marketing person is sales enablement, helping them to design slides, bringing in designers to help them design slides. For yeah, so
Oh my God, that's so real.
uh,
That is so real. Thank you, Chiedozie. But I'm currently facing this in my company, so that it's home. Thanks a lot. I'm sure and I trust that all our questions were answered. Thank you very much. So I need 5 minutes. There's something I need to show you guys. So please don't leave. If you leave, my spirit will haunt you. I'm just kidding. Let me share my screen. Let me take over. Screen sharing. So this has been a very, very amazing, powerful session. I just sounded like a pastor, but it has been really, really, really powerful. I've learned a lot, and I trust that we all have. I have been seeing a lot of the thank yous, and we don't want to keep the thank yous here alone. We want to take the thank yous to the street of Twitter. So if this was amazing, we're going to be dropping a tweet link. So Betty is going to be dropping a tweet link. That's the price you pay, right? We're not like charging for these sessions, but we want to let people like know how grateful we are and how amazing this session has been. So you can drop your thank yous in that tweet. So I think Betsy has dropped the link. Let me check. Yeah, Betsy has dropped the link. So drop your thank you, say thank you to the speaker, just say one word about how this session has been. If it was not amazing, so say, oh, it wasn't amazing, but I trust it was amazing. So you guys, I'm waiting to see your tweet. So thank you very much as you comply. So I'm just going to go on to other things. I talked about how our amazing speaker is a part of our inner circle community. And I'm just going to share more details about how to be a part of what we're doing at Builders in Fintech. Like I said earlier, Builders in Fintech is the #1 place to learn about fintech in Africa. And we are doing this through many different ways, through different streams. We have our exclusive community. The community is open, but we also just want to make sure that like the right kind of people are joining. So there's sort of like an application process. But yeah, if you join this call for starters, it means that like you're interested in fintech. So we're going to prioritize you. So yeah, you're going to have like a free pass. So Betty's going to be dropping the link. If you want to join our community, just fill the form and we'll contact you this weekend actually. So hurry while stock lasts. I'm talking like a marketing person now. So yeah, join our community. Also, we have a newsletter. We write about fintech. I'm not just even about fintech. If there's a trend, if there's an industry update, you'll find it in our newsletter. Opportunities, if you're looking for a job, if you want to move, you find it in our newsletter, like different other things as well. Insights, really, really packed. And also like general community updates, you find it in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to our newsletter. Betty will also be dropping the link and you can just directly access it. Also, all of these sessions, oh my God, I'm coming. I need to refresh the screen because I need you guys to see. Something seems to be going on, but let me just, yeah, okay. I got it now. Yes, so all of our sessions are usually uploaded. We have a YouTube channel. Betty is also going to be dropping the link. So this session that was definitely recorded would also be uploaded there within like a week. So subscribe to our YouTube channel so that when we upload, you would be the first to know. And if you also want to, we have a lot of, if you see like this slide is just like a portion of the amazing content and the amazing insights and resource we have on our YouTube. So all our sessions are usually recorded. If you want to go back, if you're like me, you work in payment space, you want to understand how payment works, like different sessions that we've had in the past, you can go back to our YouTube channel to watch it. So that's why you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So yeah, subscribe, follow us on all our social media channels. We are on Instagram, we are on, I want to say Facebook, or no Facebook. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we are also on TikTok actually. So if you want to like keep be up to date into like what we're doing, what we're doing as an organization, we would like to see you, keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, so follow us. Worthy of mention, we launched a fintech library last week. Drum rolls, drum rolls, drum rolls. So one of the things we're very, very like keen about is industry knowledge and making sure that the knowledge stays within the industry. And one way that like we've gotten to do that recently is launching a library. So the library is like a public space. Think about a place where you can just read about like the knowledge of different people in the industry, practical knowledge, practitioner driven. So we have like a few articles up on the library. If you also want to write for the library, so it's open source, like anyone is welcome. As far as you're like writing about fintech, you can come share your knowledge. So you can also like be a contributor. Betty is also going to be dropping the link to that. So it's www.leadersandfintech.com/AFL to learn more about the library. Yeah, I think that's about it. This session has been amazing. If you have not yet tweeted, said your thank you in the tweets, my spirit wants you. So please, 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 we want to make more people know about the amazing work we're doing. You know, we're making these sessions available for everyone, you know, free of charge, thanks to our speakers. So just like, that's like just a little thing you can do to just get more people to know about us, know about these sessions, and also to say your thank you publicly to the speaker. Thank you, everyone. You guys have been amazing. I've been talking about the speaker a lot, but I need to talk about you guys. This session was very, very engaging. The energy in the room is so amazing. And yeah, so thank you for engaging. Thank you for being a part of this. We're going to have another masterclass next month, and we would love to have you, of course. So yeah, stay tuned on our social media accounts as we announce and like roll that out. Thank you so much. It was amazing doing this with you. See you on the next masterclass. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.